I'm Ineke Buskens. I'm project leader of GRACE, Gender Research in Africa and Arab Countries for Empowerment. I live in South Africa, close to Cape Town.
My name is Kisbran Abraham. I'm project director for GRACE in Zambia. I'm based in Lusaka.
So this conference, how do you like it so far?
I like the conference a lot. It gives us a lot of space to meet people and to raise issues of hope and of concern and aspirations. And this not really control in the sense like this. You can say this and you cannot say that. So it's like we can be frank and we can share what we have experienced and what we want, and that's good.
I find this conference very interesting because it's living up to its intention of bridging the divide. You've got this practitioner researcher interaction that's going on, and that is a good mirror for both sides of the field to check and observe how they're both experiencing the environment.
I think that's where the future of ICTD has to come from that interaction, and they don't have to kind of collapse totally, but there are so many ways in which they could find each other more. Like as I said before this morning, I can imagine practitioners becoming more researchers, because for me any human being is a researcher, and practitioners could become like more reflective practitioners, and researchers could look at practice. What one of the participants suggested, the practice that really works is actually already a reflection of a valid research process. Otherwise there wouldn't have been those successful interventions. So it would be a great challenge for researchers to actually tease out that knowledge quest that led to those successful interventions, and then make it possible for other people in other contexts to learn from that.
So you're both very critical, I see.
Not entirely critical, but perhaps we're objective observers.
Whatever objective means.
But so, what has been the criticism of the ICT4D field or the ICT4D research up to now?
Well, one big problem for me is that, and I agree with Jeff Walsham, is that the whole concept of development is not packed out. So it's like, what are we then? Are we just a marketplace where everybody can voice what they think and feel, or are we becoming actually a kind of a group, a movement that has shared aspirations, a shared dream? So I think we have to unpack development, and the other thing is, what I would like to see more of is the understanding in all ICT research that it's actually about people, and that people have a purpose, and that if you use term as the technology is doing this, the technology is doing that, or usage of the technology is doing this, the user, the individual is lost. And I think I don't want to put the blame for that on, to the ICTD community. I think it is very tempting to do that within the type of scientific language that we have inherited from all kinds of sciences, not only technological science but also the social sciences. It's almost like when you get scientific, you have to suddenly stop being personal and subjective, and that is not on. Because I think there are also a lot of things you cannot explain when you lose that aspect. Like for instance the presentation yesterday by Julian May, where the very poorest of the poor, you cannot explain why in certain cases an ICT can make a difference in terms of economic well-being, and in other cases they could get totally impoverished. Well, that could be on the level of the mind of the user. Like we've in our work. In GRACE first phase, there was this case study in Tanzania of a hairdresser who stayed for 2 years to get a cell phone. And when she got the cell phone, she only used it to receive calls from her clients. She didn't use it for social purposes. At a certain stage it was even stolen. She had to save for 1.5 years again. But now she has an income of $300 a month, well above the poverty line. But to look at these micro to look at these type of case studies brings out the human and makes visible that it's human minds behind all those so-called phenomena we cannot explain.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah.
To perhaps amplify what Ineke is saying, I think the concepts of ICTs in relation to humans as either consumers or users dehumanizes the entire impact of what ICTs are doing to human relations. I'll draw on the conversation between Gloria Bonda and Philip Tigo. Gloria Bonda suggests that ICTs are more than just tools, that they are an entire social construct, a third universe, if you want to see it that way, on which you have a whole social, political framework that is really influencing the way humans behave and the way humans are relating to each other.
Yeah.
Philip Tigo, on the other hand, argues also that they're just tools that are a means of doing things. And he comes from a perspective of the one who designs the applications, But this kind of dialogue has to continue. And we have to see ICTs are more than just tools, I think. And
as well also tools.
As well as also tools.
It's not an either or thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that there is a connection between the two, and so that it can really contribute to sufficient sustainable development, and not, as Joe Forshaw describes, a comparison of development between, as seen in the context of the current Western structure.
Yes, we don't want to become the United States,
yeah.
Because we also agree with Jeff that we don't think the United States is developed at all. So, but what we also feel is that we have to continue this kind of dialogues, because it's very important to develop a framework, more of a framework that is sensitive to power issues, to local context. Because in the absence of that, anybody with a very clear purpose will just swap the field, and through the power of concepts, just the power of concepts, draw people in. I don't think it's so simple as the corporates have got the money and therefore they can lure people into funding for their interest. It's not so simple. It's like there is a conceptual void in the ICT field, and in the lack of that existence of a understanding, a real conceptual understanding, people with a strong purpose can grab the field, like governments who are into control, like governments who are into profit, like corporates who are into profit. So if we want ICT to be for the people, for development, we have to come up with our own conceptual framework.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.